Hello everyone, my name is Margaret Salisu Horadin. Today we're going to be talking about elder abuse. What is elder abuse? What are the signs of elder abuse? What are the examples of elder abuse? Who are the victims of elder abuse? How can we prevent elder abuse? And what is your role in reporting elder abuse? What is elder abuse? According to World Health Organization, elder abuse is a violation of human rights and a significant cause of illness, injury, loss of productivity, isolation, and despair. Each year, hundreds of thousands of older persons are abused, neglected, and exploited. Many victims are older, frail, vulnerable, and depend on others to meet their basic needs. Statistics shows in 2010, over 5 million people were reported as abused. This is about 9% of the older person population. Most at risk are females, about 67%, and people in the age group of 77 and older. More whites are likely to be reported abuse. Blacks about 18.7%, Hispanic 10.4%, and whites about 67%. Why are older persons most vulnerable to elder abuse or most vulnerable to abuse? Reason could be because of social isolation and mental illness. People with dementia, Alzheimer's disease may make them to be more vulnerable to abuse. Victims may also be totally or partially dependent on the abuser for daily care, including meals, mobility, access to funds, medication, and many other dependent factors. In some cases, the abusers may be dependent on the victim for shelter, for money, and food. Living with someone who has a mental illness could also be a factor, and issues such as addiction to drug or alcohol may increase the chance for abuse to occur. Elder abuse victims may experience shame, fear, embarrassment, anxiety, confusion, withdrawal, and depressions. We're going to look at examples of elder abuse. Inappropriate use of drugs and physical restraint to punish the older person. When you treat an elder person like a child. When you isolate the elder person from family, friends, or regular activities. Or you refuse to provide life necessities such as food, water, clothing, shelter, personal hygiene, medication, comfort, personal safety. Or when you just totally isolate the elderly person. Illegal or improper use of the elder fund, property, or asset may also be an example of elder abuse. When you deny an elderly person access to their grandchildren in order to force them to comply with your wishes. In general, when we're talking about elder abuse, we're talking about knowingly or intentionally neglecting an older person, causing them serious harm. Legislations in all 50 states have passed some form of elder abuse prevention laws. When we talk of elder abuse, we're looking at physical elder abuse, physical forms such as slapping, restraining, physical or chemical. Sexual abuse, this is the non-consensual sexual contact of any kind. An example is also, or a form is neglect, when you neglect to provide basic necessities of life that we have explained before. Now, when we're talking about neglect, what are the signs of neglect? When an elderly person is dehydrated, when they are malnourished, when they have improper clothing, when they are over or under medicated, when they are deserted, abandoned, or unattended to, or when they lack medical necessities. It could also be unclean environment or social isolation. Another form of elder abuse is financial exploitation. When you take someone's an asset of a senior without their consent. And signs of exploitation could be missing or disappearing property, inadequate living environment, frequent or recent property changes or will changes, when you have excessive home repair bills, and they are forced to sign over control of finances. When they don't have limited or no money for clothes or other amenities. Another form of sexual abuse, elder abuse, is emotional abuse, inflicting mental pain, anguish, distress on the older person through verbal or non-verbal acts. This could be intimidating them, threatening them, and making them more vulnerable. Abandonment, neglecting them, and not allowing them to have contact with their loved ones. It is also important to look at the warning signs. What are the warning signs of elder abuse? While one sign does not necessarily indicate abuse, there are some signs that could show that there is a problem. For example, on the elderly person, when you notice pressure marks, broken bones, burns of any kind, this may be an indication that the elderly person has been physically abused, neglected, or mistreated. And then when you experience unexplained withdrawal from activities, or they have unusual depression, which may be an indicator of emotional abuse. Bruises around the breast or genital area can occur from sexual abuse. Now, when there is changes, sudden changes in financial situations, could be financial exploitation. Behavior such as threats and other uses of power, control by spouses, are indicators of verbal or emotional abuse. Strained or tense relationships, frequent arguments between the caregiver and the elderly persons are signs that abuse is taking place. While we've talked about signs of abuse, you can also notice low self-esteem or loss of self-determination. The victim is fearful and soiled linen or the inappropriate clothing, social isolation. Prevention can also occur, or prevention can only occur if there is awareness of neglect. Exploitation of vulnerable persons should be immediately reported to Adult Protective Services or law enforcement agents. All states have agencies that receive complaints of abuse. In some states, failure to report abuse of an elderly person is a crime. But it is important that you be alert, because the suffering is often in silence. When you notice changes in the senior's personality or their behavior, you should start to question what is going on. Remember, it is not your role to verify that abuse is occurring. You are only to alert others of your suspicions. Please visit the website if you are concerned or you want to know more about the signs of abuse. Now, what if you suspect abuse? What do you do? Who do you call? If someone is in immediate danger, call 911 or the local police for immediate help. If the danger is not immediate, but you suspect that abuse has occurred or is occurring, please tell someone about it. To report elder abuse, you can contact the Adult Protective Services agency in the state where the elder resides. You can find the number of the Adult Protective Services by visiting each state. Visit the State Resources section of the National Center for Elder Abuse website. The Elder Care Locator is also a good resource to use. If you have been a victim of exploitation, neglect, you are not alone. Many people are in this position and they need help. You can let your doctor know, a family member. Do not keep silence. Do not be silent about it. Specially trained operators will refer you to a local agency that can help. The Elder Care Locator is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern Time. If you suspect nursing home abuse, call your long-term care ombudsman. And what should you expect when you call someone for help? When making the call, be ready to give the elder's name, address, contact information, and details about why you are concerned. You may be asked a series of questions to gain more insight into the nature of the situation. For example, are there any known problems, including confusion or memory loss? What kind of family or social support are there? Have you seen or heard incidents of yelling, hitting, or other abusive behavior, you might be asked for your name, for your address, your phone number, but most states will take the report even if you do not identify yourself. What happens after you report suspicions? The APS, which is the Adult Protective Agency, will screen calls for potential seriousness, and it keeps the information it receives confidential. If the agency decides the situation possibly violates state abuse law, it assigns a caseworker to conduct an investigation. In cases of an emergency, usually within 24 hours. If the victim needs crisis intervention, services are available. If elder abuse is not substantiated, most Adult Protective agencies will work as necessary with other community agencies to obtain any social and health services that the older person needs. Adult Protective Services provide social services to ensure the safety and well-being of elders and adults with disabilities who are in danger of being mistreated or neglected. They are unable to care for themselves or protect themselves from harm and have no one to assist them. Interventions provided by APS, that is the Adult Protective Service, include receiving reports of older abuse, exploitation, neglect, investigating these reports, case planning, monitoring and evaluation, assistance with arranging for medical, social, economic, legal, housing, or law enforcement or other protective, emergency, or supportive services. It is important to remember that the older person has the right to refuse services offered by the Adult Protective Services. The APS agency provides services only if the senior agrees or has been declared incapacitated by the court, and a guardian has been appointed. The APS agency only takes such action as a last resort. Who are the people that respond to reports of elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation? Although Adult Protective Services is generally the first responder to reports of elder abuse, neglect, or exploitation, many other agencies and non-profit organizations work actively to protect vulnerable elders. Adult Protective Service is the principal public agency providing investigation reported of older adult and vulnerable abuse.